Hey pedal people! A few people have requested this and I thought it might be interesting to go over how I go about making these demos. I'll share how I do the graphics and my recording process, what I use to record, and how it all comes together in the end as far as editing goes. Initially I started with this format because I didn't want to deal with a camera and recording perfectly synced audio together. That's a whole other thing that can be kind of frustrating when you just want to share sounds. So I found this to be a good way to be able to show all of my settings and the signal chains, and just be able to focus on playing in the moment rather than splitting my focus. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy and maybe you can find it useful if you want to try something similar. So here we go. So the first part of every video is setting up the Photoshop document, which is the part where I do most of the work in, because my videos are basically glorified PowerPoints, so every image you see in the video is just already done in Photoshop, and the video is basically just transitioning from image to image. Almost like an animation, but not quite as intense. So yeah, I'm setting up the document, and I grabbed a picture online of the fuzz war. So I just selected out the background to make the pedal its own layer, and then the next thing I do is I try and select out each the knobs so I can make the knobs animatable to show all my settings. So what I do is I just select it out, copy that, paste it in place, make it a little larger to cover up where the original knob is, and then I just take that one knob I copied and I just copy and paste it to every other potentiometer position. And then I just dumped a bunch of nice animated backgrounds in here. I have a folder on my computer where I save a bunch of these. I really love art from animated movies and TV shows and stuff, so I try to showcase a few that are really nice in the back of my demos, and I always put the name of them in the description so you can check them out if you want. I also do a lot of adjustments to the backgrounds. I like to make sure that they recede and don't distract from the pedal itself. And now that we've got the pedal on the background, I'm ready to go record the intro song, so we'll see how that goes and we'll meet you back here. So here we are at my pedal board. I decided to put the fuzz war at the beginning of my chain to record the intro. For the later clips, I'm probably going to switch it around in different places to try it after reverb or after another overdrive or something, but for the intro track I thought it sounded nice in the beginning. I played around for an hour or so trying to figure out the pedal, find settings that I like, and stuff that I might want to use. And I recorded a bunch of tracks, so we're just going to try to mix that into some cohesive jam for the intro. But other than that, I get a couple questions how I record, and it's really simple. I just have a Sennheiser E609 microphone right on my cab with my trusty SD1 holding it in place. That runs into a Scarlett 2i2 interface over there, which runs into my computer and into Garageband. There's all the tracks I recorded. See like how many there are, but I only use a few. But in the editing process, I do like to go through and see what these sound like, because sometimes I find things that are like accidental that sound good that I didn't think sounded good when I was recording. But yeah, I usually just leave all my takes in there and just choose something that I like. But yeah, I monitor out with these headphones, and that's kind of how we go for the audio portion of it. Oh, as far as preparing this to be put in my Photoshop document, what I do is I go through after I've done the take and I do a little video of my pedal settings, and then I can reference that little video for when I do the graphic as far as getting all the settings correct and stuff, and knowing which pedals were stacked at which point in the track. So quickly before I get back to the Photoshop part, here's the closer view of all my tracks and stuff. I finalized which takes I want to use, and the most editing I do is I'll take the take and I'll duplicate it, put it on its own thing, and then pan it the opposite direction. I will admit that this one got pretty messy. All of my takes are improvised, so I don't really know what I'm getting until I'm done and I listen back, but yeah, I think there were some cool moments in here, and this is kind of the best that I could make of all of these. And then I'll throw a limiter on each one, or on the whole thing, and not each one, just because I suck at mixing, and if I don't do this, my audio will clip terribly. So, yeah, that's the most post-processing I do. So now I'm gonna reference that and my video file that I took for the settings, and we're gonna go to Photoshop and make the graphic. Back in Photoshop, I've got the document pretty much prepared. Now what I've got to do is add the pedals that I used in the intro jam to the Fuzz War document. So I grabbed them from a different project I worked on before, which had them all sized up and nice and ready. I do a little bit of a drop shadow on there, and yeah, just get them all lined up and ready to go. So then here's the part where I'm referencing my phone, where I took the video of my settings for each track while I was doing the jam, and so I am going to match the images settings to the settings that I recorded for the video. Basically, I'm just prepping the assets, you could say, for when I lay it out to combine with the music. Okay, so now for the trickiest part, I think, of the whole thing is laying out the visual for the intro track. Since I have so many things going on at the same time, it can get kind of confusing. But yeah, right now I'm just going through and sizing everything up, doing basic layout for how it's all gonna look. I kind of have to think about, like, there could be 5 tracks going on at the same time, but I only have room on the screen to show 2 or 3 at a time, and then I have to hide those and put the screen up for the next track that's coming up. It's all kind of confusing, but you get it. You know, I just want to make sure everyone understands the signal path and what's being played at the time. Hopefully that comes through in the demos. It does get a little confusing laying this out and stuff. So yeah, it's just a little process of figuring out the size of everything and where they should go, what pops up when and where. So the last thing I'm doing is adding a few finishing touches, putting a little vignette around the background, and then I went ahead and dragged in my clean tone image from a different project and made that its own layer. And then what I'll do is I export each layer as its own image, which I can bring into the editing software. And finally, the last step is bringing it all into iMovie to put it together. I added all my exported images and went ahead and exported my audio as well. Then I scrubbed through the timeline, set a few markers for where the images need to change, make sure they're right on the beats, and then I add the images and line them all up, make sure it all looks good, and that's basically it. So that's all there is to it. It can take me quite a bit to get a video done. I always try to feel happy and confident with what I'm putting out there into the world. That's not always achievable, but at least I'm always glad that I tried. But yeah, anyways, I'm really happy I get to do these demos for you. It's been really fun, a learning process for sure, and I've had a great time getting to experiment with a bunch of cool pedals and make sounds, which is all the fun, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I guess I'll catch you next time.